The Milwaukee Bucks avoid going down 3-0 to the Indiana Pacers, and Anthony Edwards is the best player on the floor against the Lakers. We're going to talk about all that and all the games tonight right after this.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
It was another fun, physical night around the NBA and the playoff games, as this playoffs run has been this whole entire time so far. I'm Hayes, host of Locked On Bulls. I'm joined by Swiper, host of Locked On Nuggets. Swiper, how'd you feel about the games tonight before we get into these games individually? How did you feel about the physicality that we've seen in a lot of these playoff series so far?
Yeah, I mean, when you get in this meat and potatoes of a series where now you're looking at going up 3-0, going up 2-1, going down 0-3, trying to get back in the series like the Bucks 1-2, you're going to really start to see fights, because now we've shifted from the home court advantage to now we're playing in another arena, a new sense of energy, a new sense of purpose, and you're going to want to see just exactly what you're made of. And tonight we got a chance to see 3 games where 3 underdogs fought back in some of the hardest possible ways, and they were able to earn victories tonight. So we're finally in the playoffs, and I think this is truly when the playoffs start.
Great. Very, very well said. One of those teams today is the Milwaukee Bucks, who woke up today. Big contributions from Gary Trent Jr. in this game. Let's go to the winner of this game, the host of Locked On Bucks. Let's see how they felt about it.
The Milwaukee Bucks finally, and I do mean finally, pick up a win in this series against the Pacers at home in Milwaukee, behind who you would assume Giannis did his thing for sure. But game 3 in this series against the Pacers this year is going to be remembered as the Gary Trent Jr. game. 37 points for Gary Trent Jr., 9 3-pointers made in the game for Gary Trent Jr. That ties a Milwaukee Bucks franchise playoff record of made threes in the game. Doc made a couple adjustments, bringing Taurean Prince off the bench for Gary Trent Jr., who did start in his place. We saw Taurean Prince's minutes slash dramatically in this game. Only 3 minutes for Taurean Prince. Brook Lopez, 15 minutes, a little bit more. Jericho Sims, a lot of Giannis, a lot of Bobby Portis. The Bucks seem to have found something that works in this game. So let's see what they can do in game 4. But hey, it's 2-1 now. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen in this one. Gary Trent Jr. with a crazy game, 37 points. Him and Giannis combined for 74 points in this game. The Pacers did have a lead, 57-47 at halftime, but this is why you cannot take a single possession or anything off in a playoff series like this. How'd you feel about the Bucks win today?
Man, they took care of business. The Bucks, I think they've been willfully, fully outmatched in the series versus the Pacers. They've had no chance, I think, defending this team. And even tonight, this was a great offensive game on both sides of the ball. But look, what really separated today's game, Hayes, it was that third quarter. The third quarter, the Milwaukee Bucks, they scored 39 points on 62% from the field, 5 of 8 from the three-point line, and 8 of 9 from the free throw line. And in that quarter, you talk about the famed Gary Trent, 18 points on 5 of 6 from 3. Giannis is able to also put in 11 points on 3 of 3 from the field and 5 of 5 from the free throw line. They separated themselves in that quarter. And look, the Indiana Pacers, they scored only 18 points, and that was really where the deficit grew to what it was. And in the second half, the Milwaukee Bucks were able to create a lot of separation, scoring 70 points in the second half and only giving up 44 points. So they did everything they were supposed to do. They hustled, they were rotating, but also some shooting luck was on their side. 11 of 18 from the three-point line. And on top of that, they also made sure to play some really, really hellacious defense, especially as playmakers. But look, man, shout out to Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's having a great start to the NBA playoffs. The Pacers, they have no interior defense to speak of to guard Giannis. He's making that known every single game so far this series. But Gary Trent, he decides he wants to step up and help, and Gary Trent makes 7 threes in the second half. And when you have a player that is, I don't know, maybe the 5th or 6th best player on the roster, make that many threes and has that kind of impact, you're probably going to lose. So if I'm the Pacers, I definitely feel like, we need to play defense. We need to tighten some things back up in game 4. But honestly, they were due for a game, and they really got the shooting experience that they needed to get this victory.
Absolutely. Do you think that move of going from Taurean Prince to Gary Trent Jr., is that something, was it just a shot in the pan today? Is it going to be something that can be consistent? Do you think it's something that can be replicated in this performance? Not, of course, the 37 points, but do you think that this shift in the lineup was the right move to make, and is that going to help them find their way to another win in the series?
Well, look, I think Giannis, they just need a lot of assistance, especially scoring the basketball.
Yeah.
But Hayes, the biggest issue for them has been their defense. They've scored well at times throughout the series, but they just have had no hope of guarding the Indiana Pacers. And so some of this is just going to come down to simple as this. Like when you get into those pick and roll sets with Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam and Aaron Nesmith and TJ McConnell and Andrew Nembhard, are you going to be able to put up the effort necessary to be able to rotate weak sides, so you're not giving up wide open 3-pointers, or you're not just giving up free runs to the rim like they were in the first 2 games. Now, they've shown a capacity to do that. But like I said, today was mostly due to the fact the shooting luck was on their side, because it's not like the Pacers are not an elite offensive team. They are, which is why the issues have been there. They pass more than anybody else in the NBA as well. But again, 13 of 41 from the 3-point line, 39 of 90 from the field for the Pacers. I just wouldn't set my hopes on that they're going to shoot like that again, especially given how well they've shot on the entire season. They're going to have to play some defense. And look, this was the Bucks day to day. They got up, they kept making shots. The Pacers started missing shots. And then before you know it, 7 minutes left in this game, it was over.
For sure. Let's switch to the other side of this game. Let's go to Tony East from Locked On Pacers.
Ruh-roh, that was not a good second half for the Indiana Pacers. The Bucks just blew them out for 2 quarters. 117-101 the final score here in Fiserv Forum. Tony East here with Locked On Pacers. What on earth just happened? The Pacers are up 10 at halftime, feeling good about how they're playing after a late surge in the half. And they just fell apart completely. They couldn't score at all. They were getting so deep into the shot clock, bad shots a lot of that second half. And the Bucks were scoring with ease. Gary Trent hit 9 threes, tying a Bucks franchise record previously held by Ray Allen. Giannis was great. Dame was better. They were just much better than the Pacers for the last 24 minutes of this game. In some ways, it felt a little concerning in that the Pacers couldn't get out to shooters or stop Giannis or score. What are you supposed to do if you can't do any of those things? In some ways, the Bucks had the hottest shooting half they've had of the series, in Game 4 will tell us a lot of the answers of what was real and what wasn't from that half, because the Pacers look like the team that needs to come up with answers heading into Game 4. We'll have much more on Locked On Pacers.
It's going to be really important for the Pacers if they want to maintain this momentum and not let the Bucks completely grab it. If they can get a game here before they head back to Indiana, I think that's going to be really important for the Pacers to come in here and really try to win Game 4. Because if they don't and they go back to Indiana and the Milwaukee Bucks have another game like this, I know it can ebb and flow in the series, but the way that the Bucks played today, especially with Dame Lillard still not even really being Dame, 2 for 12 in today's game. You did get 28 points from Pascal Siakam. The Pacers moved the ball like they always do. 32 assists on 39 main baskets is really good, but that was a terrible first half. Second half, everything that could go wrong for them went wrong for them in the second half of this game.
Yeah, and that's why for me, I think sometimes we try to dwindle basketball. Like the Patriots had 14 turnovers today. We try to dwindle basketball into this guy made shots, this guy didn't make shots. Well, what if next time this guy doesn't make those shots? And what if next time this guy does make the shots? And I think that we can whittle the game down to simply just shooting luck. And I just think that there's so many things that go into matchups. And I think that when a team is good at spacing you out, the Pacers get easier shots than the Bucks do. That's a problem. If I can get into my offense easier than you can, more than likely I'm going to beat you a majority of the time at least. And I think over the course of the series, they're just able to generate layups, dunks, open shots on a more frequent basis. And on top of that, because of the personnel issue, they actually can guard the rest of the non-Giannis players much better than the Bucks can guard anybody on the Indiana Pacers. So this is going to come down, I think, Game 4. Will the Pacers shut the door by out executing them, not allowing for them to hit three-pointer after three-pointer after three-pointer. And then if they do lose some of that shooting luck, it could get ugly real quick, because when the Pacers score versus this team, they can go on a run that like is a wave. So it's going to be a really, really fun game for.
For sure, for sure. We'll turn in the game 4. You guys can come right back here to NBA, Locked On NBA Game Night, where we'll cover every game every night. But next up, we're going to be discussing the Orlando Magic. They get a close win over the Boston Celtics. But first, we got to get to a message from Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out and online shopping and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center with all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. You can go beyond just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on streaming services. Spoiler alert, it was a lot. Now I budget smarter and save more. The best part is I don't have to use multiple apps. I just use Monarch to check my finances, track spending, and plan out my long-term goals. Take control over your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. More game night coming up next. All right. Next game up on the docket today, the Orlando Magic get a 95-93 victory over the Boston Celtics. I had faith that the Magic were going to at least win one game in this series. I don't know if it changes the tide on, of course, me thinking they could win this series. But Swiper, how do you feel about the Magic finally getting this victory here?
Man, I think the story of the Magic season is the Paolo Banchero era is here. You know, this is his third best game of the series. Like, so this wasn't even his best game today, but he has gotten so good at dictating terms for the defense, setting pace for the defense, to be able to get the Orlando Magic offense in a place where he can create advantages as a shooter, as a scorer, as an isolation player on the post. He honestly has grown so much this year, and I think that's just my biggest takeaway. And even including tonight, just even some of the shots and stuff that he was hitting for Orlando, he just does a lot of things really well, and he's such a matchup problem for this team. And then you get Franz Wagner, who I think also added a lot tonight. Franz gives you like a lot of really good looks on his own, and then you get 32 points from him tonight. They just played really hard. And when you're playing versus this kind of a team in the Celtics that's this good, that has this many advantages on a night in, night out basis, they have athletes on the court. They're extremely well coached. They play hard. They're physical. They're not going to beat themselves often. And so the Magic, knowing that, even when they were down in the first quarter, they kept making the proper runs to get back into the game. And they kept continuing to rely on their team, on their process, and on their defense. And then really the second story of the game today as well was just their bench. Like, the Magic bench came into this game and again set the tone, got them on some great runs. Cole Anthony Black played some important minutes today. Jonathan Isaac's defense was good today. And then on top of that, you get Gary Harris. They were able to bring in enough off the bench for them to do things well and for them to allow to execute when they needed to down the stretch of the game in the second quarter as well. So just all the way around, man, I'm really impressed with how the Magic have handled themselves this series, that they haven't faded away from the limelight in any of these games. It's just that Boston is a lot better than them. But look, it's just honestly, like, I'm really proud to see the Magic go from where they were they dead in sights. We didn't know if they were making the playoff this year. And then they get in the playoffs. They didn't look like they belonged in the first couple of games, at least in the first game. But then they get this performance tonight. Just amazing job by Jamal Mosley and the Orlando Magic.
Mosley's done such a good job coaching this team. I have a question that I want to ask you about the Orlando Magic and in this series. But first, let's get into this message from the host of Locked On Magic.
This is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic, as the Orlando Magic extend the series and win 95-93 over the Boston Celtics, forcing a Game 5 in Boston later this week with a chance to tie the series Sunday against the Celtics. You know, there's a lot to talk about in this game. Franz Wagner was simply brilliant with 2 critical layups over Kristaps Porzingis, with the game tied at 91 to pull the Magic ahead. But this is the kind of game the Magic want to play. This is what defines them. This is who they are. They are a gritty, tough defensive team. They don't care. They're not going to apologize for their physicality. They're not going to apologize for hitting you. They're not going to apologize for their defense. Is this team fatally flawed? Do they not have enough shooting? Absolutely. Is their offense a slog to watch, as everyone around the nation is seeing during the series? Absolutely. But they're going to fight and scrap and keep themselves in the game. That is the difference between the Orlando Magic and most teams that cannot score at the level they do. And they have 2 all-star level players in Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner who can carry them and hit those tough shots at the end of games. At the end of the day, this is just one win. It is a critical win. It keeps the series alive. It defends home court. There's still a long way to go in this series, but the Magic showed their grit, their determination, and their hustle, and that can go a long, long way.
The question that I alluded to, I wanted to ask you there, Swiper, is that how differently do you think that this series would look right now if Jaylen Suggs was in this series?
Instead of Cole Anthony starting, or Corey Joseph rather.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, their defense would be even better. So I mean, that's obviously a plus. But you know, and Cole does some of the things that they need, which is why his minutes were important. But I will say Jaylen Suggs as a scorer, he just has the ability to be able to create and play make a little bit, but also just like as a scorer, he has some of the scoring chops you need just even as a downhill driver that they just don't have on the roster when he's not there. And I think he would definitely be helping them. It wouldn't have made a difference in the series. I think it'll still be 2-1, but at least projecting forward, having an additional player that can dribble, that can create a little, you know, not crazy, but create, but then also that can shoot to a degree, not anything crazy. I think that also would help them. And again, you get one of their defensive captains back in the lineup. And I think that kind of ball pressure would make it so much more difficult on Tatum or Brown or White or Drew Holiday. And so having that extra tenacity on the perimeter would mean a lot, especially next to KCP, because that's how the team was designed, to have Wendell Carter, to have KCP, to have Paolo, Franz, and then to have Jaylen Suggs to be involved as well. So he definitely would make a difference in this series.
For sure. And we'll see. I mean, listen, the Orlando Magic, with all the turmoil and injuries up and down the season, them winning this game against the Boston Celtics is great, but we know that they're going to come out stronger and hopefully have a much stronger season next year. But let's switch gears real quick to the Boston Celtics. Let's first get into the short from John Corrales, and then let's discuss the Celtics game tonight.
Celtics had their chances here in Orlando, even though they played horrible offensive basketball. In the end, Orlando was able to dictate the terms of engagement with a super physical play, which really was basically foul on every possession, and see which ones the refs called and which ones they didn't. And that's how playoff basketball is going to be here in Orlando. This is the 3rd straight game of it, so nothing should be surprising to the Celtics. They managed to get through it in the first 2 games, but without Drew Holiday, I think that was the big thing. He's always been the adult in the room, and he was not there to kind of give the Celtics a little bit of a boost on a night where no one outside of Jason Tatum played extraordinarily well. Jaylen Brown was okay, but uncharacteristic turnovers. Both he and Tatum combined for 13 turnovers, and in the 3rd quarter where they only scored 11 points and only made 3 baskets, that's not going to get it done here for the Celtics. I thought the Magic were going to get 1 game, and this was going to be it. They managed to do it. Congratulations to them. Now the Celtics have to bounce back. They have to impose their will in Game 4 and get back to playing Celtics basketball so they can close this series out.
John there mentions getting back to Celtics basketball. Celtics were 9 of 27 from 3-point range. Question I want to throw to your Swiper is, do we see the Celtics make less than double-digit threes again in this series?
I mean, it's definitely possible, but like the Magic are running them off the line, and they're not giving them those 3-point opportunities. The Celtics want to be in the 40s, the mid-40s, in their shot attempts from the 3. And if Orlando just continues to do what they're doing, and then they're rotating so well, they're switching, and then they're just not allowing you to get easy looks at the basket from the 3-point line, then they absolutely could do it. So that's a part of beating the Celtics, though. You just have to be able to at least hold the fort and just not allow them to abuse you left and right on the perimeter with their great, tremendous jump shooting. And the Magic did that tonight. They played really good defense. I love how physical they play. You know, he talked about basically you foul them until they blow the whistle. And I'm like, look, if you're a physical team and you're at a disadvantage, yeah, that's what you do. You foul or you play very hard and you make it so the ref, if they do blow the whistle, it's going to be for like egregious things. Otherwise, it's going to be a physical game and they're going to let us scrap. So, I mean, honestly, that's Magic. That's the best chance they have. And I think they're going to continue to deploy that.
43 personal fouls in this game, 43 of them between these two teams. That's crazy. But, you know, we said at the top of the show, like the physicality that the refs are allowing in a lot of these playoff series, to me, it's been a revelation to see. Like, I love that type of basketball. Of course, nothing dirty, just teams going out there trying to take advantage of what they can, physicality, like you said, opposing their will. And that's what the Orlando Magic did in this game. Can they do it again? We'll see. If they can get another win at home here, you know, make it a little even more interesting before it goes back to Boston. Great, but still think Boston's going to win this series, man.
No, yeah, it's not a question. Yeah, probably 4-1, so not even a question.
For sure. All right, let's get into the next series, man. We're going to get into the next series next, but first we got to get into a brief break. All right, the game of the night, if you ask me, the Timberwolves over the Lakers, 116-104. In this game, Anthony Edwards, down the stretch of this game, was the best player on the court, the confidence that he played with. He was asked after the game about, you know, him smiling out there the whole time. Like, this game was tied with like four minutes left in this game, and they came back and played hard the way they did. Before we get into breaking it down, let's get over to the host of Locked On Wolves.
The Minnesota Timberwolves beat the LA Lakers by 12 in Game 3 to take a 2-1 series lead. I'm Ben Beacon, host of the Daily Locked On Wolves podcast. There are a lot of similarities between this Game 3 win and the Timberwolves' Game 1 blowout win over the Lakers. For starters, Jaden McDaniels led the way in scoring for Minnesota. 30 points, a career playoff game high for him, 30 points on 22 shots. And Ant was awesome down the stretch. 29 points, 5 of 10 on threes for the game, plus 8 assists. Remember, he had 9 in Game 1. I think he had 1 assist in Game 2. Back to the playmaking Ant we're used to. The Lakers double-teamed him a lot in this game, and Ant responded extremely well. Luka was under the weather for the Lakers and only had 17 points on 16 shots, but the Wolves survived a turn-back-the-clock game from LeBron, who had 38 points in this game and was awesome for stretches in the second half. But still, Minnesota turned defense into offense. They dominated in the paint. They forced 16 Laker turnovers and only turned it over 8 times themselves. It was the perfect recipe to take a 2-1 lead in this series. Make sure to subscribe to Locked On Wolves for all things Timberwolves.
The Timberwolves in this game go on a 14-9 run to start the fourth quarter and then finish the fourth quarter with another 13-1 run that sealed this game. How'd you feel about this game, Swiper?
Yeah, I mean, credit first starts with Anthony Edwards. He's having the best playmaking series of his career, and especially given like you said, the game was tied with 4 minutes and 37 seconds left. Luka makes a fadeaway jump shot. Minnesota calls a timeout. And from that on, Anthony Edwards, he just locked in like he had all game. He just knew what he had to do, and he took care of business. For Anthony Edwards, 29 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. Like, that's really good, man. 5 of 10 from 3. That's great. And only 2 turnovers, especially given how they're defending you and how they're trapping you to end the game out. That's important, man. And, like, he's the straw that stirs this drink with Minnesota. And something that I think is really important to know, especially in this new CBA, y'all, Minnesota has 8 starters. They got Mike Conley, they got Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, and Rudy Gobert. But then they have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Naz Reid, and Dante DiVincenzo. That's what makes them so potent. And so every single time Anthony Edwards drove the ball to the rim, hey, it's just either a layup, a free throw, or it's a dunk, or you're collapsing on me, and now I'm sending the ball out to the corner, and now you're in over rotation, or the wide open 3-point shot is there available, and we're taking advantage of it. That's where they are right now in their process, and that's why they look so good. This is a 2-1 series in part because Ant has chosen to take a leap as a playmaker. He's chosen to utilize his jump shooting. He's chosen to utilize his ability to drive. Now it's just about can I get the rest of my teammates to continue to follow suit on a game-by-game basis? And Rudy Gobert's had really important minutes. Hayes, man, Game 4 is going to be a dogfight. I do have the Lakers winning Game 4 because they cannot lose Game 4. But, boy, if the Timberwolves go up 3-1, man, it's probably going to end up being curtains.
That's for sure. We're going to get into the Lakers side of that. Let's get over to the host of Locked On Lakers, see how they felt about this.
Kamenetsky, co-host of the Locked On Lakers podcast, and the Lakers fall in Game 3 of their opening round series against the Timberwolves, 116-104. They're now down 2-1 in the series. Absolutely did themselves in throughout the course of this loss. 19 turnovers that the Timberwolves converted into 28 points. They missed 7 free throws, 65% at the line. That's how you waste 42.5% shooting from behind the arc. That's how you waste a 38-point, 10-rebound game from 40-year-old LeBron James. That's how you waste a lot of strong defensive possessions. Luka Doncic playing through a stomach bug, and it showed 17 points on 16 shots, 8 assists to go against 5 turnovers. And Sunday, Game 4 is a must win for the Lakers. They have to go back to LA with the series. Even for more Lakers coverage, make sure you watch Locked On Lakers on YouTube and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Must win for the Lakers. Down the stretch of this game in the fourth quarter, the Lakers only went 6 of 17 from the field. LeBron James made 3 of those shots. Third quarter was a lot of LeBron as well, basically just LeBron down the stretch of this game. 38 points from LeBron. Unfortunately, Luka is feeling under the weather. You do get a decent game from Luka, but he doesn't score a whole lot. Reeves scores well, but he makes no shots in the fourth quarter of this game. Let me ask you this, Swiper. Can LeBron get enough help, especially if Luka is still feeling under the weather, to avoid the Lakers losing Game 4?
Yeah, the Lakers defense has been one thing, but their offense, they haven't been able to put elite performances together with their offense so far in this series. And then in the regular season, they also weren't able to do that. Like, you get 38 from LeBron, but he's a -10 in those minutes in part because they weren't impactful minutes. Like, the Rui's a -19, LeBron's a -10, Hayes is a -13. He's unplayable, played 8 minutes today. Reeves and Luka are both -16. They both played 40 minutes today, 41 minutes for Reeves. Like, they can join the party and they can help him. But Hayes, at some point in time, I've been battling with this now since February 10th when the trade went down. The trio of LeBron, Reeves, and Luka is just not it's not as potent as you would hope for it to be, especially at this time in the season. And the reason why I picked the Lakers to win this series is because they have the 3 best shot makers in the series, and especially in this kind of setting that's going to be reliant on shot making, reliant on playmaking, and reliant on you to be able to create your own shot in disadvantaged situations. All that stuff matters, which is why you picked the Lakers. But it ended up being Anthony Edwards to be the one that was the closer. The walkout music came for Anthony Edwards, and he delivered a closeout master performance in Minnesota today. It was great. But Hayes, man, right now, if you just kind of measure up what the Lakers have done so far this year in the playoffs and stuff like that, they're really good. They've been good with Luka, with Reeves and LeBron on the court, non-garbage time. They got a plus 8.22 net rating. But man, once you take LeBron off, once you take Luka off, once you take Reeves off, everything just starts to kind of fall apart with them. So because they just don't have enough guys. They got Dorian Finney-Smith, they got Rui Hachimura, they got the big 3, and they got Gabe Vincent. And that's basically their roster. That's a really, even as good as they are at the top, that's still something that you have to work around, and they might not be able to do it.
Yeah, we'll see. The host of Locked On Lakers said it. This is a must-win game. I know that's hard to say. This is a must-win game. If they lose this game, all the power goes to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Even if they lose the following game going back to LA, them going back to Minnesota, they'll be up 3-1. Or 3-2. You have to win Game 4. If you don't win Game 4, I don't know if the Lakers can do enough to get the momentum back, especially with the way that Anthony Edwards is locked in this playoff series. Wherever they ups and downs they went through at the beginning of the season and all that after the trade, Anthony really, his leadership really stood out throughout this. Even when they were going through their losing streak and stuff, him calling himself out, calling his teammates out, you really saw the birth of Anthony Edwards as a leader. And it really all came together in the fourth quarter in this game as well.
Yeah, and then look, he was finding people like left and right, and every time he gets to the top of the key, the Lakers are playing like this quasi 1-2-2 zone, and he just drives by the initial action, and he gets to the rim, and it's like, all right, Dante, Julius, Jaden, where y'all at? And if they collapse at all, he's throwing the ball out. And there was one where DiVincenzo sold the possession, and he got the ball with 3 seconds left, passed it to Randall, and then they get a shot clock violation, and he looks at Dante DiVincenzo, just says shoot the ball. Like, he wants you to shoot. He wants you to take advantage of that scoring gravity he's providing. Man, shout out to him, but shout out to Jaden McDaniels. 2 25-point or more games so far in this series in just 3 games. Just a great game by Jaden.
Yeah, absolutely. Great game all the way around. And the Minnesota Timberwolves on the precipice of really taking all the momentum in this series. They just got to get one more win. Well, not to win the series, but if they can get this next win, they get all the momentum in this series. And let's hope so. With how this season has gone for the Minnesota Timberwolves after last year, almost making the finals and things like that, like it would be crazy for them to be able to go on a run here. But let me ask you this question. With the way that they're playing right now, do you give them any chance to potentially come out the Western Conference to go to the finals without you've seen things go so far?
Yeah, I mean, the Thunder were just down 29 in the first half, and SGA has not had a good playoff game yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's definitely a path for them to do it. Will I bet that path? No. But if they beat the Lakers, they got a chance to beat the Warriors and or Houston, maybe Houston at this point, and then they had the chance to beat OKC or the Clippers or the Nuggets possibly. So, I think that whatever happens from this point on, like, it's going to be a bloodbath anyway, but they absolutely, if everything works in their favor, they could end up making out the West.
Yeah, we shall see. Before we get out of here, Swiper, any last thoughts, feelings, anything?
Nope. The NBA playoffs are fully started, man. And we got a lot of great content coming up, Hayes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys can catch us right here every Friday, breaking down the goings on around the NBA at Locked On NBA Game Night. Also, make sure you guys are also checking on Locked On NBA, which is on the same feed as this one as well. For Swiper, I'm Hayes. This has been Locked On NBA Game Night. We'll see y'all again next Friday. Peace.